If you're looking for a new mini LED TV that'll make OLED owners jealous, well, you found the one. Stick around and check out the TCL QM8K. Before we get started, if you're into tech, hi-fi, or movies, be sure to push the subscribe button for new weekly videos. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Giles, and today we're going to talk a little bit about, well, a lot about the TCL QM8K, this 85-inch, but also how things are changing in the world of television. And I really want to get into that to start with. So when you live in a world where all of the normal things that you've looked at in the past are now good enough, right? You know, this television, and we'll talk about the brightness, is so bright that in a dark room, even in SDR mode, when things get bright, you can put your eyes out, right? I mean, it's really bright. It's bright enough. I can watch this thing in this room with 4 humongous windows wide open, and it looks great. As long as you don't take it outside, put it directly in the sun at noon, you're gonna be fine, right? And that's kind of where we're at with the level of quality. Now, we're kind of moving past those old measures of excellence. You got to have that stuff, right? But, you know, with a TV like this being close to OLED, right? For the general consumer, it's indistinguishable, right? It's not a big deal. For the cinephile, the TVophile, you know, maybe they'll be like, oh, the OLED, I can't get past it. Well, you know, that's fine. But as we are at a point now where this is not just good enough, but it's excellent, what do we look at next? And really there are 2 things that I think people should focus on, and that is the out-of-the-box experience, meaning that if you have to get a TV calibrated in the future, that's a problem, right? And nobody, normal people, get a TV calibrated anyway. There's a fraction of a percentage that do that to get the most out of their TVs. Now, for all of the folks that don't do that, the vast majority of us, that is where TV companies are really going to focus at. How can they make their televisions be as good as they need to be without having to pay someone to come in with special equipment to calibrate the TV, to get the colors just right, to get the white balance just, to get everything perfect so that TV is kind of firing on all cylinders. Now, another area where TVs will continue to get better is around the color space, right? So if you go and look at reviews of current mini LED TVs, you're going to see that they're not doing the full Rec 2020, the BT 2020 color space, right? Well, that's going to change, right? Pretty soon, these kinds of televisions will be doing 100% or more of that color space, whereas today they're not. So that is going to be the stuff that we're going to be looking at in the future to determine quality, because everything else is going to be so good that doesn't matter, right? So you get to this line of, it's awesome, everything, you can measure beyond that, but it doesn't really matter anymore because it's so darn good. That's enough for me being on my soapbox. Let's get down and really talk a little bit about this television and what this has got going on that really differentiates it from other TVs out there that'll help inform you whether this is the right TV for you or not. To get started with the TCL QM8K, I want to talk a little bit about the outside. We'll talk about the front, then we'll talk about the back. And the story on the front, other than it just being super duper bright, really is the bezel. And the bezel is super thin now, but they've also taken the actual screen itself, and there's only about 1 pixel of width between where the visible image stops and the bezel starts. So when you're at distance, it's like the TV image goes all the way into a super thin bezel, and then in a dark room, that bezel even fades away. Even though it's a nice silver metal, it's gone, right? You can't really see it, which is outstanding because that gives you nearly or effectively edge-to-edge screen, which is really, really, really cool. On the rear of the TV, you've got a couple of ultra bass speakers, although I don't know, what's that, 2.5, 2 inch or something, that you can only get so much ultra bass out of a little thin speaker like that. But the story really is with all of the different connections here that we're going to take a look at. All right, here on the side, we've got all of our connectivity. And the real story is happening down here with the HDMI, but we've got a couple of USB, we've got Ethernet. Way down at the bottom, we've got our coax and then our optical audio out. And then, like I said, the main event, the 4 HDMI ports. Now, number 1 and number 2 are full speed, what they call 144 hertz, that can work really fast with a variable rate. Inputs from gaming systems, typically PCs. Then you've got a number 3, which is a 4K 60. And then you've got your ARC, eARC, which is 4K 60. What's really nice here is that they didn't make the eARC port, which you really don't use for anything other than connecting to audio, a nice port. you have both of your nice ports here at the top. So you can plug in 2 different gaming platforms, maybe a PC and then an Xbox or a PS5, and have a really great experience and have enough ports to get done what you need to get done, right? Very important. The top 2, which are not your eARC ports, are your fastest and best HDMI, which I really, really like. Now we're going to talk about the features that set the QM8K apart from the competition. And the first feature, and this is a significant one, is the WHVA panel and the technology suite they call the halo control technology. And what this does is, for the most part, eliminates haloing from the TV watching experience. So this television is very, very similar to an OLED from the point of view of whites are whites and blacks are blacks, and there's not the spillover that you see on older types of panel technology that is not as advanced as this. So this really gives you those crisp edges when you have that white against the black. It looks really, really good. Now moving on down, deeper black, higher brightness. That's again up to 3800 precise dimming zones. So this is the backlighting has a number of zones behind the screen. So instead of being edge lit, where the light comes from the edges, there's zones, and you can see here, right, where you can see all these different zones. So it actually lights behind the pixels that need to be lit up so that the blacks can stay black, and it just has light where it needs to have the light at. Again, this is a key feature that makes this television competitive with any other technology out there. Brightness that we'll talk about, and super bright. And as you've seen from some of the filming that I've done already in this video, it's really hard for a camera that's not HDR to capture this. And the little camera I was using is not HDR capable, and man, it blows it out no matter what you do. It's pretty crazy. As far as the picture color, we talked a little bit about that as well. This is 97% of the DCI-P3 and around 75% of the Rec 2020, which is really, really cool, right? And again, that's going to be a future really significant differentiator as TVs approach that 100% of the 2020 color gamut. 144 hertz native refresh panel, and that's up to 288 with VRR. Pretty crazy stuff, right? So here's your 288 right there. Gameplay, super smooth. I'll show you some of that later on in the video. The AIPQ Pro processor. This gives you that smooth motion that we have seen and will see more of in the video. Again, these features are now top class, right? So these really put the television where it needs to be, and at a price point of $24.99, $2,500 right now. That is crazy. This is a beautiful television. I'm really, really stunned at what you can get for that $2,500, because, just 2-3 years ago, you couldn't get this stuff really, period, in this kind of technology. And to now be at the point where you can get it for $2,500 for an 85-inch, yeah, that's crazy. Now let's turn our attention to the ever-important brightness. And I'll have some movie clips up above as we talk about both HDR and SDR. Now this is a quick conversation because this TV is bright. All right, in HDR movie mode, I get peak brightness around 3,500 nits, which is a lot. And then sustained brightness is, for the whole screen, is about 660 nits, which is pretty darn bright as well. So, when you get those speculars that pop up, they're going to be extremely, extremely, extremely bright. Like I said, in a dark room, this thing can make you have a physical reaction. Now, flipping over to SDR world, the peak was about 2,300 nits, lower than HDR, but the sustained output at 100% window, the whole screen, is again about 660 nits. This is super bright, right? So in a room that has a lot of windows and reflections and stuff, you just turn brightness up to overcome that, right? It's pretty amazing how bright this television is. And what's even more mind-numbing is that the TVs that they're going to release are going to be even brighter than this in the future. It's pretty crazy. Now let's talk about blooming, contrast, and some motion as well. And we're going to use one of these videos off YouTube. And the problem here is that my camera just doesn't capture this to do it justice. It doesn't look as good on camera as it is actually in person. The blooming is negligible for the most part, right? I mean, it is super sharp. It looks really, 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 really good. Again, the camera doesn't show the reality of the situation, but this is wonderful. You can see the motion here, very, very smooth. The edges between white and black are really, really good. Again, this is a really wonderful experience. And this is a little Conan the Destroyer for you just because I love it. Let's go, Conan. So who is this television for, right? So if you think about the TCL hierarchy, you got the 6K, 7K, 8K, and prices go up as well as the technology capabilities of the television. If you're a budget buyer, you're going to be down in the 6K because that is an amazing television for the money. You have local dimming now in an entry-level model. That's crazy. Now, when you get up to the 8K, you get all of the brightness, you get the improved engine, you get the better panel, you get the better contrast, you get better everything. So this is for a person who wants to spend that extra money and have a really, really superb image that competes directly with OLED, but can do things OLED can't, right? So it's not quite as good on the contrast, but it's better on brightness. The motion engine is just as good as all the competitors out there. So this is a person who wants to have a superb movie watching experience and then also an excellent gaming experience for a price that is not what you'd find from top tier competitors out there. So be a little thrifty, but still have all of the fun. Now we're going to talk about gaming, and this is going to be an easy story to tell. We're going to talk about input lag and supported resolution. So on the input lag side, the important ones really are 4K at 120 hertz and 4K at 60. So 4K 120 is about 5 milliseconds, which is awesome. And then the 4K 60 is about 14 milliseconds, which is, again, awesome. They're both under thresholds of any kind of noticeable latency. This is a wonderful, wonderful machine for gaming. On the supported resolution side, it supports everything. Of course, everything but 8K because the panel doesn't do 8K. But for you 4K gamers out there, you 1080p gamers out there, you're looking mighty, mighty fine. Just run the games at the highest rate that you can, or hertz rate, so 120 hertz if possible, and that will give you the fastest response, the lowest latency, and the best experience. Well, you have made it to the end of the review video, and I'm going to give you my final thoughts on the television, right? So overall, spectacular TV. The three pillars of choosing a television fit really nicely from my perspective with this TV, right? So you got to think about, the size that you want, the cost that you want, and the features, right? From a size perspective, this goes all the way up to 98-inch. Is massive. Only the biggest rooms need the bigger TVs. From a cost perspective, we talked about that earlier at the 85-inch. Price is very good. Now, it's not as inexpensive as the 7s or the 6s. And if you need a lower budget item, man, they're there and they're available and they're great TVs. But the value that you get out of your money for this is really high. And then as far as features go, this is a super advanced TV, right? It is giving you unheard of black levels at this kind of technology. It's got a great engine in it, beautiful picture, great color. This is a wonderful TV. Now, comparing it to competitors out there, so if you look at the top of the line Hisense, it's pretty neck and neck with the TCL. I think the TCL will edge it out. Honestly, I think it's going to come down to a dollars and cents decision there if you don't have any brand loyalty. I've had really great luck with TCLs. I've got a bunch of them, had several, never had any problems at all, never had one go back, never had anything break. So, you'll have to weigh that and then make the choice yourself. But from a comparative point of view, it's just as good, better than the Hisense. Price is great, wonderful TV. All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and close out. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all those things, and I'll see you guys in the next video.